So welcome back. For now, we're gonna talk about this activity about legacy inter-VLAN routing. First, we need to set up the things we need for this activity. We have 2 switches. We have 3 pieces connected for each switches, and then we're gonna connect it through different ports. In this activity, we have a scenario wherein a company's network uses a legacy router to route traffic between 3 VLANs, which are VLAN 7 for the sales, and then VLAN 17 for the marketing, and then VLAN 77 for the engineering. And each VLAN has a separate subnet, 10.136.0.0/13 for the VLAN 7, and then 10.144.0.0/13 for the VLAN 17, and then 10.152.0.0/13 for the VLAN 77. So the PC0 and the PC3 would be for VLAN 7, and then PC1 and PC4 will be for VLAN 17, and then VLAN 77 are PC2 and PC5. Then after that, we will gonna configure each switch, and we're gonna go to configure terminal and then change its name. In this case, we change its name to S1, and then we will create the VLANs, the VLAN 7, VLAN 17, and the VLAN 77. To make sure that we already created, or to verify the VLANs exist, we can do the command do show VLAN brief or the show VLAN brief. And then after that, we will figure out what ports should be for the VLAN 7, and then we will gonna configure it through switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN 7, or the VLAN it is to be part. So make sure that we do the same for the both switches. Then after that, we're gonna go to desktop, and then we will gonna configure the default gateway, the subnet mask, and the IP address of each PC according to the VLANs they are belong. In this case, the network address is 10.136.0.0, so therefore we're gonna use 0.1 for the default gateway and 0.2 for the first usable host address. And then we will gonna do just the same configuration for the whole PCs. Then after doing all the configurations, we will gonna go again to the switch part, and then we will gonna access which port it is connected. In this case, it is interface fast ethernet 02, and then we were gonna change it. We were gonna do command switch port mode track, and then allowed all the VLANs we created so that it will pass through and allow the remote access network. To verify the VLAN connections, we can ping the same VLANs, and we can see that it is successful. Now we were gonna put a router above, so we're gonna do the legacy inter-VLAN routing. Legacy inter-VLAN routing refers to methods of routing network traffic between different VLANs using older technologies and equipment that are no longer considered best practice. These legacy methods often present challenges in terms of scalability, security, and manageability compared to modern approaches. So right here is the interface G00, wherein the VLAN 7 has to go through it. So we're gonna put the IP address 10.136.0.1 and its subnet mask. The same goes with interface G01, wherein the VLAN 17 has to go through it. And then lastly, we have the interface G02, and the VLAN 77 has to go through it, so we need to input or to configure the IP address connected to it. And to verify, we can do the command show run. And as we can see, we have already created or input configure the IP addresses. To verify connectivity, the VLANs must able to ping successfully even if they have a different VLAN. Emulation mode, let's say PC0 to PC5, which are VLAN 7 to VLAN 77. And as we can see, it is still in progress, and then it successfully sent packets.